I just recently started a podcast with my boy. We called it The Foreigners, but this is not for me to just plug in my podcast. This is for me to tell you guys that podcasting equipment doesn't have to be expensive whatsoever. And of course, there is some upfront costs that you have to pay, and that really goes with anything that you want to start in life, that you want to take serious, such as like videography or photography. You need to buy a camera, right? Well, with podcasting and equipment, you do have to have some upfront costs, but it doesn't have to be that difficult. And I'm going to tell you guys kind of the setup that we have and kind of the routes that we wanted to go when we thought of getting the equipment for a podcast. And of course, I have a very expensive camera, the Sony A7 IV that we use for my camera, but I don't have a multicam setup, and that's probably just we might as well just get straight into it. I thought about doing a long intro, but I'm not going to do that to you guys. You know what I mean? I hate to do that to you guys. So let's jump right into it. So let's start off with the camera. Now me, like I said, I have the Sony A7 IV, and with me already having that equipment and the fact that we could just get started with the camera that I have now, cool, that worked. But we started talking about a multicam setup, and we're like, you know what? Let's not fit that into the budget right now. Let's focus on just the one camera that we have, and we'll go from there. If we get a multicam setup down the road, whenever we, start to get popping and stuff, then we go do that. But as of right now, we'll just stick with the one cam. And that's for me to tell you guys that you don't even need to go out and buy yourself a Sony A7 IV. And you maybe don't even have to go out and buy yourself a super expensive camera to begin with. You could probably do something like the Sony ZV-E10, which is a really good starter camera. Just have that one camera and boom. But that's if you guys want to do a budget, if you want to fit that camera in your budget, you know what I mean? Not all the time you have to worry about a very expensive camera, because nowadays, quality is a thing and everybody does love quality, but it's also based on your content. If you're not giving out the right content and you're not showing any value towards the viewers, whatever the case may be, then what are you doing? You know what I mean? So I say focus on what you got. If you got an iPhone, you think you can crush it with an iPhone? Cool, do that. Maybe buy like an external drive or an SD card for it to copy to or something like that. But focus on what you have in your budget. Because I know all of us, we all want to get started in podcasting. It's the wave. It's what a lot of people do now. It's how we express our feelings. It's how we get on topics and stuff like that. And I think it's something great that anybody should start if they have something on their mind or on their chest that they want to get out. But don't let the budget be the reason why you don't start, because that's the reason why a lot of people fail or don't even get started, is because they didn't start, because they were trying to be too mindful of the budget, and they're trying to figure out, oh, how do I fit this in there, or I need this, I need that. And I totally get it. I'm like one of those people that want the best stuff possible. I literally want the most expensive stuff, but sometimes that's not going to happen all the time. So focus on what you got, focus on your budget, and go from there, for the camera at least. Like I said, there are things where you do have to have that upfront cost, but we'll get straight into that, and it's more of like a future proof to say. Of course, you need a mic. And I mean, you can't really talk without a mic, because you don't want to use your phone mic, you don't want to use, freaking camera mic, because it doesn't sound good. Let's be honest, it just doesn't sound good. So with mics, you can go many different routes. You can either, just go lavalier mic. And what a lavalier mic is just those little mics that you see pinned on people's, like shirts and stuff like that. That's a lavalier mic. You could do something like that, or you could do something like a handheld mic, and I actually have it right here. I have this mic. It's called a FIFINE Mic. I don't know how to say that, but it's like a $40, $50 mic. It's not super expensive, but it gives you the opportunity to either plug in an XLR cord, or you can plug in via USB-C into a computer, or whatever the case may be. In my experience, I used both of them. They kind of sound the same, to be honest with you. Like I said, this isn't like no Shure mic or no Rode mic, but it's gonna get us started, and it looks fine. In my opinion, I think it looks nice, sleek. We hold it. We sometimes put it on the table, whatever the case may be. But no matter what route you go, you're gonna need a mic. And whether you go lavalier mic, which will be more cost friendly if that's something that you don't want to spend a lot of money on, but there's a big but on that. If you do not have good audio quality, then ultimately, how are people going to, 1, understand you, or 2, get over the fact that the audio quality is bad? The most frustrating thing for really any viewer that's watching, whether be it a short film, because that's what I post on my social media, or a video like this, or even a podcast, most importantly, where it's all about audio. Because most times than not, a lot of people don't watch videos, they just listen to the audio. You're gonna need a good mic that's dependable and that will not break up on you. Me, I have the DJI Mic 2. Yes, that's a very expensive mic. I understand it's like $350. But they do have good dependable options out there, such as, what's it called? I forget it. It's the little circle ones. I'll pop it up on the screen somewhere. But those are really good mics I hear that have a good price, good price entry, and it's going to be a good bang for your buck. But if you want to go with something like this, where you like the little handheld and you want to go XLR cord, then sure, you can go with this mic. And don't worry, I'll put everything down in the description for you guys. You guys know I got you. But I've used this for quite some time. And I've actually had this before I started the podcast with my friend. And I was like, hey, why not just get another one of these since I already have one? Once again, keeping budget in mind. And it works perfectly fine, so why not just keep at it, right? But that's gonna go into my next point, which is a recorder. A recorder, in my opinion, is just one of those upfront costs. Just get it out the way. Go ahead and get it out the way. One, because you're gonna need a really good, dependable recorder that can output really great audio quality. So, like I said, that's one thing you do not have to worry about. And this is if you're using something like a mic with an XLR cord. It has these little ports up front, and what I'm showing you guys right now is a Zoom PodTrack P4. This is a freaking lifesaver, y'all. It has literally everything you need to get started. So you don't even need that big ass Rode little recorder thing that, although it's very great because I've worked with one before, you don't need that to get started. You can literally spend 150 bucks on this little PodTrack P4 that allows you to do, recording to an SD card, or you can plug it into a computer. Like, it's amazing. It has literally everything on there. It has 4 XLR inputs. Now, the great thing about having 4 XLR inputs, because if you're going to take the podcasting seriously, eventually you're going to go down the road of plugging in like an XLR cord. And eventually you're going to have guests and things like that. They have a lot of options out there, like the Scarlett that has like a 2 input XLR port. I think I said that right. Just go with 4. I think 4 is going to be perfectly fine. It's going to allow you to future-proof your podcast. So whenever you get multiple guests on, you can be able to use 3 of these little XLR little slots, and boom, you're good. You don't have to worry about upgrading and stressing over like, oh crap, like maybe they have to share a mic or something like that. Don't even worry about that, because you got 4 inputs right there. Now, I hope you don't have like 20 people on your podcast. If so, then you might have to start sharing mics and stuff like that, but at least it has 4, and I think that's a really good amount to have on a recorder. Now, another thing to make your podcast pop even more, especially if you're like in a studio or you're like inside the house. Like, for example, my friend and I, the first 2, we were inside of my house and we were on the sofa, and the lighting isn't too well when it comes to like the natural lighting. So I have obviously artificial lighting that I already had, because like I said, I do short films, I do videography, so I already had this equipment. But you don't even have to go down that expensive route of buying like a bicolor light or a super expensive like Amaran or whatever stuff is out there. They have budget options like Newer, which is perfectly fine, or GVM. But you don't even need that to say, like, you can literally just use a ring light if you want. It's just about how you position the light, it's about how you position the camera, and how you want your podcast to look at the end of the day. Now, when people think about starting a podcast and they think of, oh, I want a studio, I want this, lights are already in the budget. So if lights are already in your budget, go ahead and buy you a nice dependable light. Now, like I said, GVM makes really good lights, and that's one of the more dependable brands out there that's on the budget side. But they also have like big panels from Newer that they put, and I can find, like I said, I'll find all this on Amazon and I'll link it for you guys. But I have an Amaran aperture Amaran, and I think it's like the 100X or something like that. It's a bicolor, whatever, and it has a softbox on it, so like it has all the bells and whistles. But I found it like Facebook Marketplace, so like, why not? I grabbed a deal on it. Like, somebody was selling it for the low, so I bought it. Or else I probably wouldn't have this. I probably just had the GVM, which I got from Facebook Marketplace too. It's all about how you find them deals. You gotta find them deals. You gotta wheel and deal through life. You know what I mean? But all jokes aside, giving you a nice light is gonna help. And if that's something in your budget and you want to spend the money on it, I highly recommend it, because nothing is going to help your podcast better, obviously, than the audio. But the light, like if people want to watch videos, they want to make sure that you look pretty. They want to make sure that your contrast looks nice. You look all, nice and spiffy like how I do. Maybe not. Guys, let me know. Now, let's talk about a laptop, because a laptop might be another one of those accessories that you feel like you absolutely need, And although you may need that, especially if you're going to film on a camera, you're going to want a good laptop to be able to edit those long podcasts, especially if you're shooting 4K. You're going to be dealing with heavy files. So a laptop may be something that you need, but in terms of using it for the actual podcast, you may not need it. The way that my boy and I do it currently is I literally just set up my camera the way I have it currently for my YouTube videos like this. I have the light, which is how I do it, literally like this. And we have our mics in our hand like this. Which the XLR cord is then plugged into this Zoom Track P4 like so. And this is placed on like some sort of table. And this is how we do it, just like this. I don't use my laptop really for anything. I mean, I may use it to search something up if we need something to reference to really quick. But more times than not, I want to just use my camera setup and my mic setup, and then whenever I go into post, I just synchronize those two together in Premiere Pro, at least what I use. I'm not too sure about Final Cut Pro, but in Premiere Pro, I just sync those two together and they marry up beautifully, and I haven't had a problem since. And it allows me to take full, how do you say it? I'm able to fully utilize my camera the way it should be used. And whenever you try to plug in the camera into OBS or whatever streaming platform that you want to use to then doctor everything up together, which you can do that, you'll need like a USB-C, like high, fast, ultra speed cable to give you the 4K to project on there, and I wasn't trying to do all that. And I want to make it very simple. So get the camera set up, we got our mics in our hand, we got the recorder, boom, we're ready to go. Record, synchronize, boom, we good. A few other accessories that you may need to be wary about is, of course, XLR cables. So if you're gonna buy a mic, go ahead and throw in an XLR cable in there too if it allows to have an XLR cable plugged into it, because you might as well just use the XLR cord, because down the road, and I'm talking about future-proofing everything, because that's my approach to all this, is future-proofing. So whenever I upgrade to the Shure mics, because let's be honest, those are the standard for podcasts. You see that literally everywhere. They sound great, respectively. Or even Rode mic. Rode mic is really good too. They use XLR cables. So whenever we're done with these FIFINE mics, then we take them Shure mics, we plug the XLR into the recorder that we already future-proofed when we first started the podcast. Boom, you are good. And like, you don't have to worry about a recorder or anything like that. If you want to upgrade to the Rodecaster down the road and you got the budget for that, cool. But now I got a Shure mic plugged into my recorder that already gives me good audio quality, and you're good. Like, you don't gotta worry about that. So boom, XLR cords. 2, SSDs and SD cards. I'm gonna put those two together because whenever you work with 4K files, they are fat. And I think we all know they are fat as hell. So you wanna make sure that you have enough storage to be able to, one, record from your camera as well as your recorder. So you want one SD card for your camera, one SD card for your recorder. Boom. Because your recorder is gonna record to, obviously, that SD card that's plugged into it. So whenever you go into post, boom, plug those two in, bop. Reason why I say SSD is because you're gonna need a centralized location to place all your clips as well as your videos to reference back to and everything like that. And SSD is literally it's like, for those who don't know about photography, videography, a lot of videographers and photographers have SSDs or hard drives. I don't recommend hard drives, HDDs. I recommend SSDs because, in my opinion, they're more safe to say. Like, I have, knock on bamboo or wood, whatever the heck, wood, I haven't had an issue with the SSD. I've heard multiple instances where data has corrupted in a HDD or hard drive because it simply just fell on the floor or something like that, and you do not want that to happen, especially if we have, multiple gigabytes of clips on there. So buy yourself an SSD, look on Facebook Marketplace, whatever the case may be, just get a terabyte. I recommend SanDisk. I use SanDisk for many years, hasn't failed me yet, knock on wood, but hasn't failed me yet. And that's gonna be your centralized location to place everything. I think I covered everything to at least get you a start on starting your podcast. Like I said, and maybe I can plug in some sort of video of like the actual setup and everything like that. But let me spit some game for you guys. Hold on, because I'm over here trying to like see how to express this and I can't get it off my chest right. But you shouldn't worry about the cost to get started with podcasting. Whenever my friend and I talked about podcasting, I immediately knew, let's not focus on any of the expensive stuff first. let's start on what we have. And given I'm blessed to have a very like a camera like the Sony A7 IV, and I have lights and stuff like that. But for people who don't have that, or don't have that within their budget, be creative. Learn how to get through those little technicalities that you're not familiar with, and start understanding it. Because whenever you uncover those, you know, technical aspects of podcasting, or just, you know, putting everything together to create a nice video, everything goes smoother for you whenever you have that expensive equipment. You know, all the loops and, you know, loops, tricks and all that stuff like that. So this is my message to you guys. Just get started. Don't be afraid. Just jump right into that. And yeah, I might as well just be a motivational speaker at this point. But I hope you guys liked the video. Like I said, I will put everything in the description, and I am more than happy to interact with you guys. If you guys have any questions, be it my Instagram or the comment section or whatever the case may be, I don't care. You can just let me know, hit me up, be like, hey, I don't know how to do this. What do you suggest? I'm gonna try my best to figure it out for you as well if you haven't already figured it out. And I'm all about helping you guys, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, if I'm creating these videos and I show no value to you guys, then what the hell am I doing? You know what I mean? But hope you guys like the video. Let me know what your guys' setup is. Let me know if you guys have a very expensive setup, or if there's something that I missed on my setup that I should implement in there. Because there's a bunch of different stuff like Elgatos, you know, monitor switchers, all that jazz. But let me know what you guys have. Let me know if my setup sucks or something like that. Maybe you got upgrades. I'm up for constructive criticism. But let me stop yapping. Thank you guys for watching, and everything's in the description. See ya.